There are two types of entrepreneurs or business owners. The ones that are really good at attract and convert, they're the ones shouting the loudest, probably not as good at delivery. And then there's the other kind of people who are really worried about delivery, really shit at marketing. And on the other side, there's the people that make up the excuses of why their particular program didn't deliver, and they have all the excuses for that. Now, with AI, I still see the same goddamn excuses. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI. So maybe we can focus on what help you might need from an AI perspective.
So I guess my big thing right now is I'm still really, early days, I would say, preschool AI, learning, ramping up, playing around. I've got a tech background, so I've been working mostly in relational databases for years, but I'm having a blast with AI, and I'm really just blown away by how conscious it can be. I've rebranded my ChatGPT to an old friend. It's a interpersonal thing. At Ronsley, when I first met you, I was really intrigued by the whole idea of integrity and ethics, because I think that if we can get the technology, whether it's AI or it's atomic energy or anything, we can really use it to serve us rather than to hurt us. And I'm really grateful. I mean, I am learning so much from reading your book and from participating in the school platform, and these interact. I know you're investing in us, and I just really want you to know how much I appreciate it. And I think I've dipped my toe into an ocean of possibility, but I'm learning a lot. I think the biggest trip up for me right now is just really being able to work with AI and its limitations in terms of, and I'm just going to use a colloquialism, a buffer space. So I have so much that I'm trying to jam in and process. And sometimes I get into what we would call buffer overruns, and I have to tell AI what I had originally asked AI to do in the first place, because it forgets and gets lost sometimes. So I'm playing around with that a little bit. I'm using flat files and, saying, go back here. And if you get lost, go over and check, your instructions again. And that seems to be working. But I'm probably eminently underqualified to ask a good question because I'm just so new.
That's fine. I mean, whatever question is a good question. I'm actually really after something that I can help you with.
My question, I start to, because I've been a bit like Scott, I'm playing around with a lot. I get, probably like you guys, a lot of AI and e-newsletters and that, and see what's going on. And the one I like a lot is the Rundown AI, which is great. Like, it's a daily one that gives you some good alerts of what's going on and who's doing what to whom when it comes to the big companies, but also has some great little ideas of this is a new app doing this is a new one doing this or whatever. And so it's fun. I get on that and have a little play and see what's useful in that space. So it's really, I mean, so much happening all the time, of course. So this is what it constantly reminds me, which is the challenge. And I'm starting to use AI to help me find the best AI for things. Like, I really need to do this thing, so I know I'm still vastly underutilizing the potential of these tools. And looking at where I'm trying to move my business, I'm trying to think of how much more I can get these systems to automate my next step of reach. Like, okay, I need to find a new tool to help me do this, or I've got a great tool for this. Can I, as a change, and can I optimize it for this? So it's like I almost want them to give me the prompt as opposed to me giving them the prompt. Can you do this? And if you can't, who can? Yeah.
This is really interesting because both you and Scott voice similar things where you say, that you're underutilizing AI, which is interesting, but there's no shortage of information, as in there's all these tools that are coming in. So can you explain to me where the gap is? Because it's like, you're not
I guess
where to go
for me,
and
some of
where to
that's
look.
around time. So it's a bit like when I was doing my PhD at the start. You do the lit review, and there are a million different avenues you could go down, and there are this rabbit hole, that rabbit hole, that rabbit hole, to try and essentially refine your eventual question of investigation, which is a bit like what you want to do with a good tool here, a good prompt or whatever. It takes a long time during the lit review process and the discovery process of preparing your early stage PhD to be able to then refine what you're going to do.
Yeah. So I just finished the book, and the book is obviously very academic heavy because I wrote thesis as well, and I did lit review, but it was very different to do lit review with AI as opposed to when I actually wrote the thesis and in the library trying to, mark things and find where things were. And even at the time, not everything was electronic documented. So you couldn't search through that. You had to like literally open up research papers that have been kept in the library and then or ask the library to reach out to this publication and give us access to the research papers. Very different with AI. So what I find interesting is when you mentioned time there, Diana, it seems like even Scott has a similar sort of, I didn't get to do this. The time seems to come up a lot. But with AI, time shouldn't be an issue because you can literally cut whatever you want to do in half. So where's the gap?
Absolutely. I totally agree there, Ronsley. The sort of searching I would have to do in advance and playing with things and realizing it's not working before AI has been reduced by scale phenomenally. And I think perhaps that then has reset the boundary for me. Now that my threshold of what I'm comfortable with, to be able to progress with things, has become a lot shorter. I expect to be able to come to answers, find information, etc., at a much faster pace because the tools we have help support that.
So here's what I'm noticing, and please correct me if I'm wrong. There are two types of entrepreneurs or business owners or business founders, maybe is the best way to put that. The ones that are really good at attract and convert. So they're the ones shouting the loudest, really good at marketing, probably not as good at delivery. And then there's the other kind of people who are really worried about delivery, but are really shit at marketing, or really, they don't want to put themselves out there. They have all the greatest reasons of why they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing to market themselves. And on the other side, there's the people that make up the excuses of why their particular program didn't deliver to this particular person, and they have all the excuses for that. Now, with AI, I still see the same goddamn excuses. Like, it seems like both sides are still arguing the same thing, but you have a tool right now that can solve your problem. So if you are inclined either way, and it seems from just the sense I get from this community is that we are more delivery focused than marketing focused kind of people. So we struggle with that side of things.
We don't prioritize that side of things. I think we can probably all do those things. It's a case of, I think we prioritize the quality of delivery and the time spent on delivery as opposed to the time spent on acquisition.
But if you have no one in to acquire, you have no one to deliver.
Oh, totally. I don't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that that's our shortcoming, and it's a shortcoming. We have to notice that and not take it as a badge, because that's what we've been doing all this time, is kind of going, oh, I actually really care about delivery. Yeah, but if you're just painting for yourself, paint for yourself and you find another way to make money. But you're not. I understood this yesterday in a call. I got to know this person through a Vayner introduction, and we're on the call and we were talking about what we cared about. And he was very politically inclined. And I said, I don't really care. I don't watch the news, to be honest, what side does what. And what I'm trying to point out right now is the ones that are shouting the loudest, who might not be as qualified, are the ones that are winning. So we can either bitch and moan about we're very qualified and these people, like I'm talking to myself right here, right now. Like, I literally went to an OpenAI conference last week in Singapore, the dev day that they invited me to, and it was the first time in 2 years that I could have a conversation about AI where everyone understood what I was talking about. And we could have this deep conversation because the understanding was there. All this time I've been invited and spoken at all these different conferences, and all these entrepreneurs and online coaches and business marketers that are claiming AI expertise, I've not been able to have a sensible conversation with them on AI, which tells you the gap. And it's a problem. I am bitching and moaning about it. But if I stay in that lane, I'm just going to be like everyone else. And I feel like this is more for me than for you. And you can take it however it feels. Like I'm talking to myself in this instance. I have the book, I have the thesis, I have all those things. And it's like, And I also put out podcasts, by the way. It's not like I have a lack of that, but I still have this thing that I'm trying to navigate as the artist that we need to kind of look at. So I feel like AI can solve all these thorns that we have in our side. For me, one of those thorns was like putting out copy. So I was really good at expressing myself on stage, or in a conversation, but not necessarily good in writing copy in the way that the market expected it to be written. So that's what I've been solving over the last couple of months. Going back, what are those thorns, could be, could not be, in your side, in your business, that are stopping you from wherever you want to go next?
I'd be keen to learn, and this is probably a coding thing perhaps, I'd be keen to learn how I could integrate different AI tools into the digital systems that I use already. Because the ones that are embedded in those systems, say, let's talk about Copilot, for example, are absolutely rubbish at doing anything that's you want them to do outside of their very simple function. So yeah, rather than having to open up multiple screens or open up other apps to work side by side, I'd love to be able to integrate a lot more of those sorts of tools together. So it's like, okay, I know when I find this sort of thing, let's say my workspace or whatever it is going to find, all right, we're going to draw from SlideSpeak today, or we're going to draw from Perplexity or whatever to help me, because that's the smartest tool for that particular function.
So are you trying to look inside your own knowledge base? Is that what you're asking?
No, it's about the whatever workspace. Let's say I'm working off a Microsoft system or Google system or whatever it might be. I would like to start to work and then like, okay, I'm going to be developing a talk, or it's now about I want to start to put some content together for different social media. I would like to start to, maybe write some prompts, and then the system I'm working in starts to say, oh, okay, well, obviously Perplexity is the intelligent one to use here for this drafting section. And then you'd move to, I don't know, Claude, so you can then develop this part or whatever. And so help me navigate me through the steps, rather than me having to go, I know Claude's best for that kind of thing. And I know I'd really like to be able to, I'd speak for whatever.
My thing is, I love playing with Gamma at the moment. I'm going berserk on that.
Tell us more about how you got to Gamma, and why you're sort of stuck to using it, because that's interesting as well. Like, there are all these tools that are advertising different things. So I'm keen to hear what attracted you to Gamma.
So I used to be a financial advisor, and I created a software program, and I generate a single one-page report that I send out to people. It shows them where they are and where they could be. I took that single one page, I dropped it into Gamma, and Gamma just started explaining the whole thing in such simple English in about 8 cards that it was just absolutely brilliant. It blew my mind, and it did it like within seconds, as AI does. So then I started taking articles that I was reading from financial things about people, like surveys done in the States where 83% of people do this, 73% of women do that, and all that sort of thing. I fed that into Gamma. It pulled out the important stuff, and it produced another 8 cards for me. I dropped that into LinkedIn and into Facebook. So now I've got articles. So now I'm just taking articles, dropping it into Gamma, and it's just sucking the guts out of it and giving me 8 nice cards that are just totally different to the normal one single picture post, stuff that people can open up and get some value out of. So it's doing brilliant stuff like that for me within seconds. And my thing is, I want to go out there and be talking to people about my software, obviously. So like employers. So generating the same sort of thing for employers. What I wanted originally to do was, I've got a friend of mine in the States who does a whole lot of stuff for people. I'll mention his name. It's Mike Koenigs. He puts together a whole lot of different reports and booklets, etc., operating procedures and everything like that. And it's all done through AI, and he does a lot of it through Gamma. And that wasn't why I got it, but he sent me this report, and all I basically did was give him a couple of lines, and he sent this report that blew my mind. I did the same thing for a guy in Queensland, and basically I only gave him 1 line, and he sent me 45 pages or 45 cards, and I didn't know it was Gamma at the time. And I thought, how the hell has he done this? So I got into Perplexity yesterday. I dropped the PDF into Perplexity, and I said, give me the prompt that would have generated these 45 cards, and it blew me. And that was what I wanted to learn. What was the prompt that created this PDF of 45 cards? It was brilliant.
I love that, because it's the concept of recursion that I've been mentioning. Is the idea of taking an output and making it another input, which is what you did there. And you went, and the best thing about being an engineer is that you're programmed to think like that. And the fact that you just did that is really cool
Reverse engineer.
to watch. It's
Yeah.
a reverse engineering.
Mhm.
It comes, and I think it's probably trained into some people, but from what you've done, I think most people want that. I have a software, I have a program, I have a service, I have a thing, and I want the market, the right market, to know about that. I want to start with a whole bunch automation. Now, one of the things that I think is important is every day I'm talking to someone who's telling me that they know AI, or they've been playing with AI, or they've been using AI, and they feel competent in AI, but they're overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So this is like really fascinating. I feel automation, chatbots are so far down the line that the other things to be learned at the start before we go down the automation part. If you think about it in steps, you think about structure or fundamentals first as the foundation, then you think about the process to achieve whatever those goals are that you want to achieve. So the process is really important. Then you want to add intelligence to that process, and then you want to automate whatever you've done. So there's a bunch of steps before you kind of get to the automation piece. So to that end, figuring out manually what the process is usually what's getting in the way of the artist. We're kind of hoping that someone gives us the answer, but it's not going to happen. And it's about testing the market to see what works. The first thing we get wrong, and I got this wrong yesterday, and I needed help to get me out of it because I'm so close to my own stuff. That's why, these calls are good. That's why having a coach is good. Having other people is really good. And that doesn't matter how long you've been in business. It does not matter. Who is the person? Who is your client? Who is the person? So that goes for the software to your users, whatever you're trying to make sure that people buy from you. What are those things? What is that? And who is it for? Okay, so talking about context and which systems to use when, let's start with context. Okay, so Diane, can you help me with, this is the service I offer and this is the person I offer it to?
Yep, the service I offer is workshops for corporate organizations trying to increase profitability in challenging times.
How are you different? I mean, I'd say there are people trying to do similar things.
So the workshop, it uses sailing analogies. So I've just finished circumnavigating the world in 70-foot boat as part of a team. And so I teach the attendees how to tack, jibe, and reef, and use them as analogies to different sorts of environments that they face in their business or whatever it is, not necessarily business, and then how to use those sorts of operations, the analogies to those operations, to navigate small tactical adjustments so that they can still achieve the desired outcomes.
So now I'm just going to start with ChatGPT just because for ease. And I'm going to say, okay, say today my goal is that I think in general, if this is our target and say this is your biggest profit maker and the thing that you love doing the most, I would spend an hour a day making sure that you're developing this business. Business development is the thing that we somehow put on the back burner. But if we just spend 1 hour a day developing the business, what I mean by that is starting new chats, creating new conversations, reaching out to relevant people that can help, whatever the development of this business and this particular product. If you spend an hour a day, I promise you it's going to make the biggest difference, right? So if I was to start doing that, this is what I would do. I am a workshop facilitator. So corporate organizations trying to increase profitability in challenging times of workshop using sailing analogies and sailing experience with tough times. I am not going to correct that because the biggest feature about AI is that it understands spellings wrong as well. So the first thing I would kind of do this and say, I'm going to switch on the web. If you haven't seen the previous videos, so if you go to the website, amplifyais.com, and down here, if you click on free prompt code book for business, you get these new prompts. So I've created 10 prompt lines that will enhance your prompts. So it doesn't matter what prompt you're making, these 10 things will enhance depending on what you want. So I've added 2 of them to this particular prompt, which is think this through step by step and give me your reasoning, and ask me anything to clarify your thinking and understanding. So what I'm doing here right now is I'm saying I'm starting from one place, I'm ideating to get to a point to apply the right context to get the result I want. And right now we're trying to figure out what process you want to apply to get the result. So the result is we want to have a plan to get in front of more people for your workshop. What does that look like? So first, stress test initial assumptions, then find out what they really care about, what is the thing that they really want, and then let's see what it suggests in terms of a plan. Okay, so what it's done is it's kind of gone, okay, it first define and articulate the value proposition, then it is tailor workshops to address specific corporate challenges. Again, I didn't obviously read this, but I'm assuming that's the steps. Identify and engage key decision makers, develop a strategic outreach plan, demonstrate credibility, establish partnerships, continuously gather feedback and adapt. All right. So it kind of gave us a rough idea. What I would do right now is I would ask you, what assumptions do you want it not to make? What do you already know that it needs to know?
Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.